I think we can get started. So this will be the last batch session. So if you are using your own laptop, we need to get an example. How about we do this together? If you haven't downloaded my Linux example repo before, what you do is that you git clone. So this is telling a program called git to clone a repository that has been saved online, and you just give the address of the git repo, which is, for our example, is github.com/gcho, and it's Linux tutorial. And then you tell git clone command where you want to save your code. This can be anywhere, but I want to download it in /tmp tmp. You can set this anywhere you want to. So git clone whatever your repo is, and then where you want to put it in your own computer. Let me type enter for this. You'll be able to see these lines of command downloading whatever saved in this repo. And if you do ls/tmp_tmp, you will see the codes downloaded from this repo into tmp. And I designed the Linux tutorial codes in a way that once you download these repo into whatever directory you give, you do bash, and then tmp, and there will be create example. If you run this, you will have, I already have one, so I'm not going to run mine, but if you run this, you will have a directory called Linux tutorial under your home directory. And if you already went through this step before, it is highly likely you already have this directory. I think we did last time tmp_Linux tutorial. If you have this, a git repo already, what you can do is you go into the directory where you downloaded your repo before, and then you do git pull. It's telling git to re-download anything that has been updated in this repo that you do not have in your local environment. All right, so it's already up to date for me, and then run create example again. All right. Okay, let's start by revising variable versus string, which I told you was the basics of bash programming. So today we will do just a few more bash commands that might be quite useful. Create a variable called mri_root, and this will be on the home directory, Linux tutorial /mri_root, and then type enter. So now you know you are creating a variable called mri_root, and you're putting in this path information, which is just literally strings, the letters. You're putting this into mri_root. Let's print this, mri root. Also try printing with curly brackets. Okay, you do this quite a lot in your scripting, in your imaging analysis, but there are times when you want to get just the last folder name or last file name. What you do is you do basename space mri_root. Then it's going to only return the base name of your full path. Okay, if you give basename Linux tutorial mri root, it's going to return me mri root, the same thing. I'm just trying to use the variable here. And there are times when you want to grab the parent directory path. So where is the mri root? What you do, dir name, and then you give the path. It's now returning a path. And then just one more thing that I wanted to do was the metacharcters. Let's go into Linux tutorial and then mri root. Let's go in there. I'm here. Let's go into the raw data. Under the raw data, there are 9 folders, right? As a beginner in Linux, if you want to search through all of the folders, you do cd subject 001, and then you do ls, and then you come up again. You do ls back because you forgot how many subjects there were. You go into subject 2, and then ls again. You do that. But there's a cool thing called the metacharcters. Metacharcters will capture more than one input. So you're giving a pattern to grab. Let's look into the character the question mark first. So the only thing that differs between these subjects is the last digit, right? But I want to look through all of them. So what you do is ls sub dash 0, because every subject folder starts with 0, and then you just give question mark. So this question mark will grab any character that is there. So without this question mark, it can't find it. But with a question mark, it is specifically looking for one more character after 0. Let's try this. So it's grabbing everything that has one more character after 0, which applies to all of them. Okay, let's do ls, and let's make a directory called abc-o0, abc-o2. Let's just make it. Okay, and do ls. You have different pattern folders. If you try ls sub o question mark, this pattern would not grab abc again, because ls sub dash 0 question mark is different from abc dash. It's not going to grab them too. Double check them. So the abc is not being grabbed. Okay, but say when you want to grab abc, let's do the same thing. You do abc dash and then 0 and then question mark. You'll only get abc. All right, you can create patterns to grab your inputs. And most famous meta character is a star. If you do ls star, it's going to grab everything, regardless the length of inputs or the type of inputs. It's going to get everything. So question mark required one character to be there, but star doesn't require any number. It just grabs everything. All right, let's do ls star. See, it also grabs abc as well as subject. Okay, there's another meta character that you can use. So let's try ls sa and then close bracket. So it's telling the shell first character can be either s or a. Okay, and then the second one must be u, b, and then dash question. On the first character that I'm looking for, it has to be s or a, and then second character must be u. Third character b, and then followed by dash and whatever comes in, extra 2 letters. Let's do this. It's only grabbing subject, it's not grabbing abc. Not because the first character, because the second and third. As an example, let's add aub dash 1 2. This pattern has to grab this one. Let's try doing this. Here, AUB. So this can include number of characters that your pattern has to look for. So you can include different characters like for ABC, or you can include specific numbers, 1, 2, 3. So say out of the subjects, I want to grab 6, 7, 8. What I do is ls sub dash 0, because everything has sub dash 0, and then you include 6 or 7 or 8. It will only grab 06, 07, 08. Okay? And if you look at this example, you can capture all digits like this, A-9, or you can capture all small alphabets by using A-Z. This can come in handy. I will show you an example. Let me go back to Linux tutorial. I just want to type this one. So let's do ls mri root raw data. What do I get from 0, 1, 2, 3? It's grabbing 1 or 2 or 3. So return me 1, 2, 3. Okay. Same thing. 8, 7, 6 is going to return. Grab me 8 or 7 or 6, and the order doesn't matter. Okay. So there's a subject 1, 2, 3. I want to get sessions 2 and 3, and then I want to see if there's any file that starts with D and followed by another character. There's nothing. But if I do star, it's gonna tell me, it's gonna grab me the files that starts with D and then has whatever after it, returning me the diffusion folders. Okay. So this is example of meta characters. There are a bunch of other meta characters that we can use, but these question mark and star and brackets can be a very quick tools that you can directly use. Let's start from echo. So echo A will print A, okay? And when you set A into something else, your A becomes variable, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to put 1, 2, 3, 4 into a container called A, the variable A, okay? But whenever I do this, the A that I type in the shell doesn't change. It's still character. I have to put in $ in front of it to tell Linux shell I want variable now, not the character. Okay, and with the loop last week, so let's just quickly recap the task. So we had a specific syntax in bash, which was for something in list. So here for this question, which is, okay, using a loop, echo from 00 to 09. So your list will be 01, 02, 03, 04, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the syntax is that you do an echo, you now print the variable x that you define here. You can call this something else, subject, number, whatever else do you want to call, as long as you give $ to tell Linux shell, oh, I'm calling a variable x, and then finish it with done, done. It's going to loop through the list that you've given to the loop, which are the numbers, and each one will become x variable in each loop. So in the first loop, x will be 00, x will be 02 on the next loop, 3, 4, and so on. Okay, I'm going to type enter. So even you saw these numbers appear at once, it is actually looping through one by one. So it's doing 1 first, and then 2, and 3, and so on. All right. So next task, print all arrays name in each line. So I want to loop through different strings, not different numbers. Okay. For, I'm going to set x into something different, array underscore name, which might be slightly easier when you actually type longer code. You forget what your x is, you forget what your y is. So it's good practice to give a variable name that can refer to something that you can remember. All right, and of course the syntax in Kevin, John, haha, ho ho, and ABCD. Same, you have to type do, you do echo. This time you've given array name, right? So you have to say $ array name. Done. All right, there was task 2 and task 3. Create folders with each array's name on the Linux tutorial loop. All right, so let me just quickly check if I have this in my Linux tutorial. So I don't have this. So let me make a directory called loop on the Linux tutorial. The full array underscore name in Kevin, John, haha, ho, ABCD, and do for a basic syntax of the Linux bash. And then rather than echo, I just want to create folders. mkdir, create one folder called Kevin, one folder called John, one folder called haha in a loop. Make dir on the Linux tutorial loop, and I want to create a folder with the array name in the loop. And then I'm going done. Okay, it prints nothing because there was no echo. Let's see what happens in the Linux tutorial loop. So there's a folders, all right? So you went through a loop creating different directories. Number 4, create empty files under each array's folder with code underscore and the array's name. So under each folder, I want to create an empty file that has a specific name. And the name has to have code underscore in front of the array's name. Let me just do this one example. Let me go in there. In there, there's a Kevin directory. And what I wanted to do was that create a empty file called code underscore Kevin, for Kevin. And this will be code underscore haha for haha. Okay, but I want to do this in a loop. And let's write a loop. So for array underscore name in the same list, Kevin, John, haha, ho, A, B, C, D, and then enter, do, enter. This time, I'm not creating directory, I'm creating empty file. It's just a touch on the home directory, Linux tutorial, loop. Then you have to give the array named folder like this. So the curly brackets were telling the Linux shell that this is where you should cut your variable name. It's not array name slash, it is array name variable and then slash. So this curly bracket is telling the shell my variable name is up to here, okay? And then you do code underscore array name. And then done. Print nothing because we didn't put in any print. So let's do tree, home directory, Linux tutorial, and a loop. Let's see what we have. See? So all the arrays folder now contain code underscore array name. All right.